Hey, it's Jane. So this is not about music today, it is about turnip cake because it's almost Chinese New Year and this is the star of Chinese New Year. Jin la bako. It is an awesome crispy on the outside, creamy and soft on the inside. Let's do it. Hi, the star of the show is actually Asian Daikon. Make sure you get this from Japanese, Korean, Chinese grocery store. American grocery stores just don't sell these like this. Here are the ingredients. Ta-da! This is not a hard recipe, but it's time consuming. The night before, or a few hours before, make sure you are rehydrating mushrooms, little shrimps, and scallops. The recipe is actually really flexible, so you can add or subtract as much ingredients as you like. This pork belly, there are different flavors of this pork belly that are sold, so watch out for different ones that you can try. Put some hot water over this and just let it soak and heat up and cook a little bit for about like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. That's all. It's for two reasons: to get the dust off, and it actually softens the outer coating of the sausage, so it makes it really easy to cut. With the daikon, do a good skinning of this. There's a bitter flavor in the skin that you can get off. Half of the daikon will be grated, the other half julienne. And grating it is a pain in the butt, but I'll show you a possible shortcut. Meanwhile, just check out this really advanced cutting technique right here. Great. Okay. See this grating device that came with my Cuisinart? This was the first time I ever even used it. I never even realized this is what it was for. This saved me so much time. And it actually, you can't hear me right now. I'll wait. Okay. It actually made the daikon sweat a lot less. And then the rest you're gonna julienne, because this is the part that I love tasting. Like the texture of these larger pieces is really good in the dish. The grated ones on the bottom, thicker ones on top, and you will see later why. Next is separating all the dehydrated stuff from the juices and squeeze the juice out of there. Save that liquid. That is umami city. You're gonna use all the liquids. That includes the daikon water as well. Set it aside. And we're going to chop up everything else before we get started. Mushrooms. Yay. And some people ask, can you use fresh mushrooms or fresh scallops? Answer is absolutely not. The umami in the dehydrated stuff is what gives it strong, addictive flavor. Scallops, you just need to kind of shred it by hand. And with the meats, you will notice that this is far easier to cut. The skin almost just kind of comes off after you use hot water to drag it out a little bit. Okay, pork belly. This is where I messed up a little bit. There is a thick layer of skin that you need to cut off of this before continuing on. And so see in the right bottom corner there, I had to cut them individually. Don't do what I did. Cut them into small pieces. These are all small bits of these ingredients because you want it as a texture, not as much as a large piece that you have to chew and work hard at. Garlic, shallots. Now, the next bit, rice flour. Use a scale to do this. It's just easier. I kind of went off the recipe on this and it was fine. Wheat starch, to be honest, I have no idea what this stuff is. It has the consistency of cornstarch, but it's not corn because it's wheat. I have the hardest time getting oyster sauce out of this thing. I don't know about you. This is basically a flour mixture where you're going to add all of the seasoning into. Soaked water and a little bit of regular water later to top it off. But to start mixing this whole thing first. Make sure all the lumps are out of there. That's really important. No lumps. And you can just pick up the whisk and check a little bit. If you see anything, just go back and keep doing. top it off. And once you see no lumps, you have cut everything and we are ready to actually cook. First, in the large wok, high heat, you're gonna brown the shallots and garlic so that it's a little bit crunchy and sweet. Set aside. This wok is so hot. Next is meats. You're going to cook it so that the fat melts into the wok so that it's visible. And this will take like a minute or two, but the pieces of meat will actually shrink a little bit and you can see the oil. Very important. Once you see that, add the shrimp. You will suddenly, immediately see that the oil gets absorbed by a lot of the dehydrated materials. Ingredients, I mean, not materials. Then you can add everything else. This is such great umami right here. When you make this stuff at home, the ratio of, umami ingredients to daikon is just so wonderful. Set all of this aside. Now turn it down just a little bit and we're going to start cooking the daikon with the larger ones on the bottom. See? And you're going to add a little bit of water. Just put all of that on top, all the daikon water too. You're going to add just a little bit of water, but do not drown it. Because as you cook it, the daikon will release more liquid. As you can see, I'm going to just lift it so you can see it's just barely visible, which is enough. Cover and wait for about 3 minutes. I check it every 3 to 4 minutes or so, and as you can see, the liquid just gets released out of the daikon. Turn it around so that all heat is reaching different parts, but leaving the thicker ones on the bottom still. And as you go, you're going to see that the daikon changes in its translucent quality. And just keep mixing it around. Make sure it's all getting even heat. There will be some ones that are kind of more white. Get those to the hot part. See, this bottom one is pretty cooked. Top one is almost there. So we're going to put it back and cover it back up and let it go for one last time. Once it's done, make sure your heat is off. Very important. You're going to add the flour mixture little at a time, and the heat is going to cook it into a creamier, thicker quality. As you can see here, you can see it in real time how that really runny liquid changes quality, consistency to a thicker, creamier vibe. And once you keep just stirring it, continue doing this motion until you don't see runny liquid on the bottom. Let's see if I'll show you what that looks like. Oh, no, I didn't. And then the second round, same thing. Here, maybe I'll show you this time because it's going to start to look really thick and yummy. See how it gets thicker like that? This is such a crazy recipe. I had no idea this was how it's made. Ah, there you go. See how there's no runniness? Then you know it's ready for the next round. But before we finish off the last bit of flour mixture, we're going to add all the toppings. I do this for no particular reason. I just didn't want it to get too overwhelming in the wok before I mix everything together. That's all. You can do it in whichever order. It's amazing how hot this stuff stays in the wok, that it can still cook this flour mixture. And I think now we're almost ready to put the last round of flour mixture in. And we're going to do the same thing. Keep turning it over until the runny liquid is not visible anymore and it becomes a part of the creamy texture of the whole dish. It's quite an arm exercise. Really, really good for you. Almost ready. Once it's done, get a couple of containers that are safe for steaming. I bought these aluminum things because I was giving some of these away. These are available on Amazon in all kinds of sizes, but I wanted to get one that fit my steaming wok, which is this exact same wok, as you can see. You steam this for 45 minutes to an hour. Once it's almost ready, you test doneness by inserting a chopstick that comes out clean. And if it comes out clean, then it is done. Make sure you get yourself some gloves because this thing is hot. And there will be some liquid condensation left over from the lid falling back in. You just dump it out. But be careful not to dump the whole thing out. And you are done. And added sexy music to this because this is a very sexy dish. One recipe makes 2 of these containers. So of course you can double, triple at your will. But boy, that cutting process is what takes the most time. You can actually eat this dish just like that, or of course my favorite way is to pan fry it. This dish can take a lot of heat before it browns, so just let it sit. High heat, no problem. Enjoy, make this happen. 恭喜發財，新年快樂 ，OK， bye。